The footage was jittery like the tape had tremors, but no one holding the camera was moving. I counted 4 breaths in the audio. None of them were mine. I bought the camcorder from a garage sale out past Weaver's Hollow, one of those cul-de-sacs that still has newspaper boxes rotting at the curb and lawn furniture from a time when families had barbecues. It was sitting on a folding table between a rusted toolbox and a stack of dog-eared Reader's Digests. The man running the sale didn't make eye contact. I asked if it still worked, and he just nodded toward a battered shoebox full of tapes, some footage already on it. He muttered like he was warning me, or maybe just trying not to talk. I didn't care. I liked old formats. There was something comforting about analog noise, the low hum of tracking errors, and the way it softened everything like memory does. I told myself I'd digitize the tapes, maybe post the interesting ones. I was lying. I wasn't going to share any of it. I was going to watch them alone because I'd stopped sleeping through the night and I needed something to fill the spaces between 300 and sunrise. The camcorder worked immediately. No glitching, no power issues. It was heavier than I expected. Too warm for something stored in a garage. The first few tapes were ordinary birthday parties, an old man fishing in silence, a toddler riding a plastic trike up and down the same driveway while someone off-screen kept whispering her name like she wasn't responding. I started keeping a notebook of timestamps, not because of what was on the tapes, but because of what wasn't. In every video, the camera would linger too long after the subject had left the frame. 2 or 3 minutes always of empty space. An abandoned room, a corner of the backyard, the backseat of a car facing the ceiling. At first I thought it was just forgetfulness, someone pressing record and walking away. But then I noticed that in those still frames things shifted, not dramatically, nothing moved outright, but the shadows subtly lengthened against the wrong wall, or the dust particles reversed direction mid-float. I told myself it was nothing, and maybe it was I'd been having migraines again, the kind with after images. Maybe I was just imprinting. Then I found the final tape. No label, no date, just a faint smell of mildew, and the corners warped like it had been hidden under something heavy. When I inserted it, the screen went black for a long time. I thought it was blank, but then the audio kicked in before the picture did. Just a low crackle of static, underlaid by a high buzzing I thought might be electrical interference. The image faded in slowly, like it was rising out of water. A living room, ordinary beige carpet, 2-seater couch, upright piano against the wall. I knew that kind of room. I'd been in hundreds like it, especially after my father died, and I had to clear out his house in sections. This one could have been his. It had that same stale quiet, like even the air had given up waiting. For the first 5 minutes, nothing happened. The camera was set on a tripod pointed at the room from a low angle. I thought maybe this was the start of a home video they never finished. Maybe they were going to record a recital or a birthday speech. But then I noticed the funeral program on the coffee table. No flowers, no visitors. Just a single folded program face up. I couldn't read the name. I leaned closer. The camcorder made a soft clicking sound in its casing, like something winding down, and then I saw the edge of it, my couch. I mean, it was the exact couch I was sitting on, same tier in the fabric where I once spilled lacquer thinner. I paused the tape. The image froze on. That detail crisp and unmistakable. I checked behind me, even though that was a useless gesture. Still there. Same pattern, same stain. I rewound the tape, thinking maybe I'd recorded this myself. But the timestamp said 2004. I didn't even own a camcorder. In 2004, I was still in college. I pressed play again. The shot widened slowly, like someone was adjusting the zoom from off-screen. The piano was out of tune. I could hear one of the keys thud, even though no one touched it. Just the vibration of it. In the room, I waited for a person to appear, but none did. The room darkened slightly, even though there was no visible shift in lighting. And then I saw something that didn't make sense. There was a mirror above the piano. It wasn't showing the room, it was showing something else, a hallway, one I didn't recognize. Dim and narrow like a motel corridor. The hallway in the mirror had doors, maybe 5 of them, all shut, all identical. No reflection of the living room at all. I paused the tape. Again, still the hallway. I took my phone and aimed it at my own mirror. Just the room as it should be. I played the tape once more, and then it happened. One of the doors in the mirror opened. A crack, no figure came out, but the buzzing on the audio got louder. It wasn't electrical, it was more like fluorescent light, the kind in old hospitals or schools. The hum that seems to come from inside your skull. The door stayed open, the image held. Then the screen cut to black. I thought the tape had ended. I stood up, but the tape started again. Same room, different time of day. This time the blinds were drawn. The program on the table was gone, and the mirror showed a different hallway, wider, brighter. The doors were gone, just a single long corridor with what looked like sunlight at the end of it. I watched for a full 10 minutes. Nothing changed. I started fast forwarding. At 16 minutes, the hallway darkened again. At 18 minutes, the light at the end was gone, and then at 22 minutes and 14 seconds, a figure appeared, briefly. Just the left half of a man's face in the mirror, peering into the hallway, like he was watching something pass. I rewound it 5 times. It was the same every time, not a reflection, not anyone in the room. Man was only visible in the mirror. His eye was looking toward the far end of the hallway, but he never blinked. I felt a coldness under my feet, like I was standing on concrete. I realized I'd been holding my breath. I told myself it was just a recording trick, some kind of art piece or performance. But I knew better. The camcorder was still warm in my hands. I ejected the tape. There was handwriting inside the label slot, faded but legible if you squinted. It said, "Don't record over it. Remembers." That's when I stopped watching for a while. I kept the camcorder in a drawer. Told myself I was done, but some part of me felt tethered to it, like I had started something I hadn't finished, and I began noticing things, subtle like the tapes. My own mirror started looking off. It reflected things in reverse, but not the way mirrors normally do. The time on my wall clock would show 410, but the reflection said 413. My reflection would stand still even when I scratched my face. Just for a split second. Once I passed the mirror too quickly and swore I saw a hallway instead of my bedroom. I blamed stress. Work had been slow. My brother hadn't returned my calls in weeks. I was drinking too much coffee, too little water. That kind of thing accumulates until the night I turned on the camcorder again. I told myself I just wanted to check the battery, but my hand hit record, not consciously. I watched it happen, like I'd dropped into someone else's muscle memory. The red light blinked. I was facing the window, nothing outside, but the rustling tree and the orange blur of the street lamp. I left the camcorder running and walked to the kitchen. Just a few minutes, but when I returned, the camcorder was off dead. The battery, fully charged just moments ago, was drained. I played back the recording. At first it showed the window as expected, but at the 2-minute mark, the screen glitched. For a single frame, the hallway from the mirror flashed on screen, then another frame, then 2. By the end of the recording, the hallway was all that remained. 30 seconds of it slowly zooming in toward the end. And at the very end of the hallway, there was a door. It was open. I tried to erase the tape, but the camcorder wouldn't let me. It refused to record anything new. I tried another tape. Same issue. I threw it back in the drawer. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept hearing the buzzing, but only in my left ear. I unplugged everything in the apartment. Still it hummed in the morning. The funeral program was on my coffee table, the one from the tape. My name was printed on it. The date was 3 days from now. I checked the drawer. The camcorder was gone. I started documenting everything, notebooks, voice memos, even left a message on my brother's machine saying, "If anything happens to me, don't go looking. Just let the tapes rot." But I don't think he got it. I haven't heard back. I don't think I will. The mirror in my bedroom no longer shows me, just the hallway. Door still open. I sleep on the couch now, eyes fixed to the piano. There's no piano in my apartment. And the last time I looked into the camcorder's viewfinder, I saw a man sitting on my couch watching the tape play back. He looked tired, familiar, like someone I hadn't seen since childhood. When the footage ended, he stood, walked toward the mirror, and disappeared. The voicemail came at 311, and I didn't hear it until morning. Just 6 words. Barely whispered, like the speaker was standing too far from the phone. Check the closet, it's not a prank. And the part that never sat right with me, no one had my number anymore. I had already moved out of the city far enough that my phone rarely buzzed with anything urgent, far enough that people stopped checking on me unless I reminded them to. The house sat halfway between 2 towns that had been forgotten even by the post office, a place the realtor described as good for solitude, in a tone that made me wonder what he thought solitude felt like. I'd been here 6 months trying to reset, to pull myself back together after everything that happened with Erin. She didn't die. I should clarify. That would have made things simpler, at least in the way people understand grief. No, she just left. In a way that split my memory down the middle. Some things I remembered too well, others like trying to recall a dream right after waking. She walked out one night and didn't come back, and the only thing she left behind was a single steady detail that's never left me. She always checked the closet before bed, even if we were fighting, even if we were drunk, even if she was crying. She'd pull open the old door, peek inside, and shut it again every night, always from the right side. She said the left hinge stuck. I thought it was just habit. Now I don't know. I didn't check the voicemail until coffee the next morning. I live slow now, deliberate. It helps, but when I played it, the voice was wrong. Not because it was unfamiliar, but because it wasn't. It wasn't Erin's voice exactly, but the tone, the way it curled at the end, like she used to when she was scared, but didn't want to admit it. That was hers. It was statusy, like the speaker was in a tunnel or underwater, but the 6 words were clear enough. Check the closet, it's not a prank. I didn't, of course, not right away. I stared at the phone. I replayed the message 3 times. The number was listed as unknown, not blocked, not private, literally unknown. Then I put the phone face down and left it there, and I made it all the way to 2:47 p.m. before I opened the door to the hall closet. I don't know what I expected, maybe a raccoon or some broken pipe or just nothing. But I know what I didn't expect: the light to already be on. A soft yellow light, the old kind you only see in basements or old motels. Warm, but wrong. The bulb had been out for months, I remember, because I tried to replace it once and couldn't get the fixture open. I stepped back, left the door open. That was the first time I noticed the smell, like dust and mint, the scent of something that had been buried for a long time and only recently unearthed. The closet was empty, still coats, still boots, still the little box of photos I never unpacked from the move, but it felt occupied, not physically, not like something was standing there, just like something had been recently disturbed, the way a bed still holds the shape of someone's body even after they've left. I turned off the light and closed the door. That night the message disappeared. I opened my voicemail and it was gone, not just erased, gone, like my phone never received a call at all. And when I tried to play it from memory to hear the words again, they wouldn't come, just the silence, just the feeling it gave me, which was worse. That was the start of it, the slow tapering of sense, the steady unravel. I didn't realize it at first. I just started noticing things didn't line up. The calendar stayed on the same date for 3 days, even though I swear I changed it each morning. The fridge would hum at the wrong times. The upstairs faucet turned itself off and on again while I was still downstairs. And always the same thought scratching at the edge of my attention. Check the closet. It wasn't fear at first, more like an itch, like forgetting something important, like leaving the stove on and not being able to prove that you didn't. I told myself I wouldn't look again. That one glance was enough, but by the end of that week I'd opened the door 11 times. Each time the light was on, each time the smell was a little stronger, and on the 12th time something had changed. The photos, the box in the back left corner, I hadn't touched it since the move, but it was open, not spilled, not overturned, just open, like someone had carefully removed the lid. The pictures on top weren't mine, not the ones I'd packed anyway. They were printed on old Polaroid paper, the kind that yellows at the edges. They showed the house, this house, but not quite. The windows were different. The wallpaper was floral instead of striped, the light fixtures were newer. And in the center of every photo, always with her back to the camera, was a woman same height as Erin, same build, same long dark hair. But it wasn't her. I don't know how. I know that I just do. Wasn't her. She was always facing away like she was about to turn, but never did. I flipped through them for 10, maybe 20 minutes. Then I closed the box and put it back. And the next morning it was gone. I stopped sleeping in the bedroom after that, started using the couch. I tried locking the closet, but the door didn't have a lock, so I pushed the hall table against it. I told myself I was being ridiculous, that maybe I was going through something, that people spiral like this when they don't talk to anyone for too long. But I kept coming back to one thing, the voicemail. I didn't imagine it. I know I didn't. And then came the sound. It started exactly 1 week after I heard the message, a soft knock, not on the front door, not on the windows, from inside the house, inside the closet. Just after 3 a.m. each night, one knock, not loud, but patient, measured. Like someone reminding you they're still there. I didn't check the first time I froze, told myself it was the heater or the pipes, but the next night it came again, 303 a.m. one knock, and the next night. And the next, always the same. I started sleeping with music on just to drown it out, but I always heard it anyway. And I just knew that if I opened the door while it was knocking, something irreversible would happen. Not violent, just permanent. Like letting something in that didn't have a shape, but already knew your name. So I didn't open it. I never opened it, but I started recording it. First I used my phone. Then I bought a cheap voice recorder from a pawn shop in town. I placed it right outside the door, hit record every night before bed, and checked the files. Each morning, for the first 4 days, I got what I expected: silence, followed by a soft knock around 3 a.m., and then nothing. But on the 5th morning, there was something new. A whisper just after the knock, so quiet, I had to play it over a dozen times to make out the words. It's not yours anymore. That's all. No voice I recognized, no gender I could place, just a soft, deliberate statement. I didn't sleep that night. I just sat in the kitchen, lights off, staring at the hallway. At the closet I could barely see through the dark. It's not yours anymore. What wasn't mine? The house, the memories, the voice, the life I'd tried to rebuild. I started checking old voicemails, old photos. I called my old phone number just to see what would happen. It rang once, then cut to silence. Not a dead tone, just silence. Like the line connected, but no one on the other end wanted to speak. I told myself I was breaking. That's what Erin said toward the end, that I was splitting in little ways. Her phrase, not mine. I remember it because it sounded so careful, so rehearsed, like something a therapist told her to say. Splitting in little ways, like paper tearing slowly, fibers separating one at a time. I didn't believe her then. I do now. 2 nights ago the knock changed. It came earlier, 2:41 a.m., then again at 2:56. 3 knocks this time, then silence. But the silence felt heavier, like it was watching me, waiting, like silence with a heartbeat. I started to notice that I was forgetting things. Little things, but important ones. My coffee was cold, even when I just brewed it. The plants were dry, even though I'd just watered them. The radio played stations that didn't exist in this region. And this morning when I went to record last night's knock, the recorder was gone. Not stolen, just gone. No sign it had ever been there, like I'd never bought it. And the closet was open, just slightly, just enough to show me. The light was on again, and the smell had changed. Less mint, more dust, more breath. That's the only word I have for it. Breath. Warm, stale hue. Many think I've been talking to someone. I don't remember when it started. I just know that sometimes when I'm standing near the closet, I speak out loud, not to myself, not to no one, but in a cadence that suggests I'm answering. I just don't know the questions. I catch myself mid-sentence and realize I've been speaking for minutes. Once I laughed, once I cried, and once I caught my reflection in the mirror beside the door, and I wasn't moving, but my mouth was just slightly. Just enough. Last night, I dreamed Erin came home. She walked in without keys, sat down on the couch, and looked at me like nothing had ever happened, but she was paler. Her eyes didn't focus. She kept glancing at the closet like she expected it to. Open. Then she said one thing before vanishing. You should have checked sooner. I woke up sweating. The door was open again. Wide this time, the light flickered, and taped to the inside panel was one of the Polaroids, the woman back to the camera. Standing in a room that looked like my kitchen. The wallpaper matched, but in the foreground on the table was my phone. The screen said, recording. The timestamp read 311 am. That was this morning. I don't know who left the message, I don't know who I've been talking to, but I know now what they mean. The closet was never a place. It was a moment. It was the one thing I never looked at directly when she left. I think she knew. I think she checked every night because something already lived. They're not a person, not a ghost. Just the thing you feel when you realize you've been lying to yourself for years. When you know something's wrong but pretending feels safer. And if I'm honest, if I really admit it, I don't think I've been living alone. Not since I moved in, maybe, not ever. The knock is coming sooner now. I feel it like a cough building in my chest, and when it comes tonight I won't answer. I've left this recording so someone will know. Not for sympathy, not for help, just so someone understands that when you ignore a warning long enough, it stops being a warning, it becomes a key. When you never wanted to use, one that doesn't open anything, it just lets something out.